G'day and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to show you in this short video how to basically use these few things that should be probably lying around on your hobby desk anyway, and you can produce great photos like this. Yep, it's that easy. So, roll the music. Okay, so how do you get those almost magazine quality photos without spending hours and hours and hundreds of dollars on specialised photographic gear? Well, you don't need it. As I've shown in the previous videos in this series, and go back and watch them if you haven't seen them already, because they explain a lot of things in detail. I'm just going to show you how to make an S-board today. A really simple, easy and effective tool to get photos like this one, where you have an infinite background and it really brings your model out and makes it look great. And you can do this in a couple of minutes. It's not that hard. Okay, so let me show you. On my hobby bench, I have a couple of lamps, 3 actually. I've got 2 side lamps, which are just a standard LEDs. They're just, those sort of things. Mine are adjustable, which is rather handy, but you don't have to have that. You don't have to have that. I've got my overhead lamp, which most of you would have. You'd have to have something, okay? If you're just working in sunlight, you could probably do this. Oops, sorry. It's a bit hot here today. I'm sweating. It's Australia. The whole place is on fire. Well, actually now it's raining and it's stinking and humid. That's another story. Okay, so I've got a kit box, just a small one. Doesn't matter what it is. I've got a weight, paperweight. This happens to be rather useful. This actually is the base for one of these sort of things, which is great for holding parts so that you can paint them and do things with them. But look, any weight will do. A couple of pegs, right? Steal them out of your mum's clothes basket. A medium-sized cutting board. Now this one is, what does it say? It's a 16, 17 inch one, right? So that's how long it is. That's in centimetres, I don't know. It's probably half a metre long. Yeah, it's probably about a half metre one. But not a terribly big cutting mat. This one underneath here, this is huge. This is a big A1 size cutting mat. We don't need one that big. Just basically a cutting mat that will be the height of your lamp. That's the trick. Okay. And then you'll need a big piece of white card or paper. Right? Well, you don't have to have white, but white's going to work most effectively for just about all of the things you need to shoot. So we'll do that today. So let's set that up, and I'll show you how easy it is to convert all of this into an S-board, like this photo, that will allow you to get infinite backgrounds, backgrounds that disappear off into infinity, and that should make photographing your models so much better. We're going to try and attempt to shoot this model, and it doesn't always come up well. It's a dark camo, the 2 colours kind of disappear into each other, so it's often really hard to get a photo of this, and so we can see it as I would in my naked eye. So I'll just put that to the side. And now we'll set up the staging area. Now I've discussed staging areas before in other videos, and go back and look at the one on staging, because I show a very simple way of doing this if you don't have a big piece of card like this. If you've only got just a standard letterhead type one, A4 we call it, standard piece of paper, you still can shoot your model. There are other ways to do it. But today we're going to talk about S-board. Now why is it an S-board? Okay, right. Now the reason is it's pinned at the top, it comes down, has a flat area for you to put the model on, and then it curves at the bottom. So it's an S like that. It's an S turned on its side a bit, okay? So that's why it's called an S-board. And the reason is it has a curve at the front, which gives you more foreground, and also stops there being any shading and edges on that. It's nice and infinite, just like the background curved up. That's infinite, as I've shown in previous videos. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is, we'll just move a few things out the way here. What we need is the thing that's going to help make this an S. And that is a kit box. It doesn't matter what it is, okay? This just happens to be my little BMW from Airfix. It's a little box, and it's not very long. That box is, there you go, that one's about, it's not even a foot long. Okay, it's not even a foot long, probably about 25 centimeters. Okay, doesn't matter. It's just basically got to be bigger than your model, whatever model that you're going to shoot. So that goes in there. Now behind it, we're going to use this cutting mat, and what I'll do is I'll sneak it up and tuck it under my lamp. Okay, now I have my lamp already adjusted to the right height, but you might need to adjust your lamp up and down, or you may need to figure out another way to put it against your lamp. You might actually put it up against the stem, but that is kind of handy for me because that gives me a nice secure area to work from, because I'm going to use the pegs on there now. Okay, so I've got the back, a support, I've got the razor here. What I need now is I get my A1 piece of cardboard or stiff paper. So it's sort of a cardboard, it's a very thin cardboard, but then again it's a very stiff paper, and I'll raise it up to the top of my board and I'll peg it in place. Right. And I have pegs on my hobby desk all the time, and that then gives me a fairly high. Now I probably could turn this card sideways and not go as high, but I do want a bit of height for my lamp, because my lamp doesn't have a volume adjuster, if you like. I can't make my lamp less bright. Well, actually, I tell a lie. There is a way. So if my lamp is too bright, I have a trick that I can use, and it's called a scrim. And all I've done is taken some butcher's paper or tracing paper here, and I folded it up and taped it so that it makes like a little sock. And that sock can go over my lamp, right, like that. And notice the lighting level has changed a lot, and I can actually then use that sock to, hey, I can adjust lots of light, down a bit, down a bit, down a bit. Alright, now we need to look at the bottom of our S board, and the paper is all curved up and flopping around in the air. And that's because I keep it stored up in a cylinder with a rubber band, and that's a handy way to keep them, but it means they're always kind of bendy. No problem, we can fix that with a weight. That's where the weight comes in. We just pop that weight down, and that will hold the bottom. We'll just push that in a bit, and that's given us our entire S-shaped staging area. So now we can bring our model in, and it sits very nicely in this staging area. So we are ready to start doing our lighting. I think you can see now how our S-shape has formed, especially shooting now at this angle, so you can really get the hang of what I'm trying to build here. Here's this front piece we put the weight on. See, that's brought down that part of the S, which has given us this lovely foreground here, which gives us an infinite curve. And we already had the curve at the back, which I've done many times in other videos, and I've shown basically photos that are shot that way. By raising the model up and creating this S board, it means we can get our camera down lower. So if we're just shooting with a phone or something, we can be down at this level, which is more like the angle a person will see these kind of vehicles in real life. So it gives us more a humanist angle and a humanist scale to seeing our models, and they look much more realistic. And the photos look great because normally it's a toy because you're looking down on it from above. Whereas if you get down low like this, you start to see things as they would be in reality, and your models start to become real. But anyhow, so there we are. We have the model in here, and the only light I've got on at the moment is the overhead one. Okay, so let's introduce some lights to this. So here's one of my LEDs, and I've lowered it down. Okay, if you didn't have one on a bendy thing, you might be able to turn your lamp on its side and put it down. It might be worth putting something underneath, like a piece of wood or something to prop it up so it doesn't burn your hobby desk, especially if it isn't an LED. It's an incandescent bulb. It's going to get hot, and it might put a big score mark or set fire to your hobby room. So just consider that. But if you've got an LED, they're handy. I can put that down there. So now I can basically add LED light. There's 1, 2, 3 settings. Now notice, 3 is too much. Oh, too much lighting, Harry. Yes, as I said, you can overlight things. You really can. You don't need to have tons and tons of lighting. So here's 1. That's probably not too bad. There's 2. Voila, look at that. It is evenly illuminated now. That's looking really good. There are still some shadows in there, but that actually would work. So with only 2 lamps, my overhead and my front LED lamp, I've already got this pretty well ready for photo. That should make a nice photo, okay? Don't be frightened about moving your lamp in. I mean, if I move my lamp further away, I can get a more subtle effect. I've just got it in so you know it's there, all right? So it's, But look, that is already working, Okay, now let's turn off the overhead. Right, you haven't got one of those, so you're buggered. All you've got is maybe 1 or 2 desk lamps. Alright, so now, yes, you are going to need more light. Alright, so then you might have to come up to an angle that's more appropriate. Alright, and you still could get a reasonable photo just with the one lamp. Okay, because down here you're obviously going to see all the shadows and everything horrible there. If you're over the top, well, you've just got that problem. But somewhere in the middle, you twiddle until you go, okay, that's given me a little shadow. Assuming I want to see underneath the tracks, I do. I want to see underneath the this part here, right? That's over the tracks. What's it called? My brain's gone blank. All I'm going thinking lighting. Anyhow, this little bit here, right? Mudguard, whatever it is, right? I want to see underneath it. That's what I want. You might want a shadow there, okay? So you might be quite happy with that. That might suit your needs. But just for the purpose of the video, all right? I don't want to be too low because I get too much. I don't want to be too high because that's what's happening. Somewhere in the middle here is going to be my optimal angle, and it's lit. Now I've only got one light. Right? I'll prove it to you. I'll turn it off. Okay, I'm going to turn it off now. All right, that's it. I only have one light. Now you notice I'm at the full setting because I've only got the one light. I'm relying on reflected light all off my S board here to create what I want. I mean, you can even do a trick with S boards, and you can put a light behind them, and you can light the actual paper up, which is another thing. But honestly, that actually creates more problems than it's worth. It does work for some things, but look, I'd have to go that in another video about backlighting, doing that sort of thing. Alright, so say you've got 2 lamps, so that you're wealthy enough you own 2 hobby lamps, okay? So here's my second one. So I'll turn my first one off and I'll put my second one on. Again, I need full illumination before I see anything. Add that one. Alright, it's looking very bright now. I could probably just use that one at a lower level. So if you don't have adjusters on your LED lights or whatever lights you're using, move them back and forth. If you double the distance they're away from the model, you will 1/4, okay, because it's inversely proportional. It's actually scalar. It's not scalar. It's actually a multiple, right? It's a square, all right. So double the distance, 4 times as dark. Halve the distance, twice as well, not twice as bright. Halve the distance, 4 times as bright. Okay. So to actually get twice as much light on the subject, you've only got to move it forward a little bit. It's probably about 1/4 of the distance towards it, and you actually get double the light. So these are tricks. You can simply do it by moving your lamp back and forth. Now it is really handy if you've got, like we have here, I've actually got the iPad hooked up and I'm looking at this. So if you're able to do that, to position your camera and not touch it and just leave it on, then you can actually mess around and move all your lamps, and you can basically see in real time how it's affecting your photos, right? Rather than just put the lamps on, take a photo, oh that's not good, take a photo, move it, adjust it, take a photo, oh that's not good. If you've got a smart device, and let's face it, most of us have got at least a digital camera these days in our phones, and they are brilliant. You know, 10 megapixels, bloody hell, I used to shoot video on 1 megapixel. Anyhow, adjust your light and go, okay, does it need to be more this way, does it need to be more that way? You'll figure out what the best lighting angle is, okay, just by simply moving your lamps around. Eventually you'll learn exactly where to put them, as I do. I just go, you know, people don't figure out or are amazed. I just go, plonk, plonk, put the lights on, it looks great. And they go, wow, how do you do it so quickly? Well, I've done it for like 30 years. So I pretty well know roughly where the lights are going to sit anyway. And you can use the rule of 45s here. Your 2 lamps should be 45 degrees from the subject in the horizontal plane and 45 degrees in the vertical plane. Okay? Except here where we want to get light underneath the tracks, then we start lowering from 45. But if you always start with everything at 45 degrees, that'll pretty well look okay, and then you can twist and trim and adjust in small amounts, and that should get you exactly what you want. So if I photograph this now, it would look fairly good. But let's put the overhead lamp on again. Alright, now I've got far too much light. Look at that, it's just so burnt out. Okay, so I might want to get my little scrim out. Here's my scrim. Alright, well, I'll just iris down. And you see, irising down, I'll just tap the iPad on the iris. Irising down actually creates a problem because now your background is so bright, it makes the subject look dark. There's the thing to consider. If you overlight the white areas, it becomes brilliant, and the cameras will zoom in on that and focus and illuminate or adjust their iris to that. The whole trick of using just the right amount of light is that your background and your foreground don't fight each other, okay? So your subject and your background do not fight each other. There's an even amount of illumination. So let's just scrim. I'm just using my little sock here, and it has the ability of, the way I built it is it can have, because it's doubled over, there's literally 4 pieces of paper there. So I can have 1, I can have 2, I can have 3 layers of tissue, and that allows me to do sort of things. Alright, so now I need these lamps off. Okay, and I'll just use my iPad focus there. So we'll turn the front one, this one, we'll turn this one going this way on. That's 2, that's too many. So again, 1, 2. That's all I needed, 2/3 of its illumination. And maybe the front key one, I'm now doing this lamp here, okay? This one here, that's too much, that's far too much. So I only actually need the very first setting. So I did not need all my lamps flat out. And you notice how now the background is still quite bright, because this iris in your camera or in your device will suck into what level it needs. So you do not need to overlight and use 15 lights on everything. You could light this with 1 light, as I showed. Light it with 2, it's not too bad. 3 is optimal. 3 is good lighting because you can get background or backlight from overhead or a rear lamp. You can get a nice front even light, and then you can use a key light on the side maybe to bring out some details. Okay, so I'll take that key light out, and you can see the tank's not bad, but I'm not getting as much illumination in there to show those details. So just a little bit of key light, and look at that, it made all the difference. So this is how we would get photos. All right, so I'm now going to stop the tape, and I'm going to take a photograph of this. All right, and then you can compare how it's been in this S environment to how the photo turns out. So there you go. That's how we managed to get some really nice photos very simply and very easily, just using our S board, which we made out of just a few things that were lying around. Admittedly, we would need to go and buy that A1 sheet of card, and they're only like a couple of dollars, really, they're not expensive. So that's the only thing that you might have to spend money on. But then once you've got that, well, you've got, you know, this whole wonderful infinite area that you can shoot lovely photos of your model. All right, and that's my lighting there actually works in just about every single direction. So there you go. I hope this video has been of some use to you, and I hope that this is going to help you light your models and make them as nice as hopefully mine look. So we'll leave it there. Have a look at the end of this video. There will be a link for my other videos in this Easy Ways to Light Your Model series, and you'll get hints on how to just do it with a piece of A4 paper if you haven't got your A1. But look, go down to your newsagent. It's only going to cost you like a couple of dollars. You could buy a big piece of A1 card, and then you too can start taking really snappy model photos just like I do. Oh, I'm bumping everything. There we go. Alright, well, this is Wobbly Cam, so that's about it for now. That's all I can say. It's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini.